All right. Welcome and hello everyone to the New Orleans Poetry Festival Roadshow. It's our second installment in the Mighty Roadshow this 2024 Poetry Fest season. I would like to thank Henry Goldkamp and Matt Niz of Yes We Cannibal for organizing and hosting this New Orleans Poetry Festival event. I'd also like to say there is merch by Yes We Cannibal in the back here through this door, and also some coffee and a pop-up back there if you want to support this fine establishment. On behalf of NOPF, funding for this event has been partially provided by the state of Louisiana and administered by the Louisiana Endowment for the Humanities. Additionally, New Orleans Poetry Festival expresses extreme gratitude to the Literary Translation Institute of Korea for funding the Korean poets and translator at this event. So thank you, LTI Korea. We have 6 poets who will perform tonight. 3 are Louisiana residents and 3 are Korean residents. After all the poets have performed, we'll have a brief Q&A, probably about 5 to 10 minutes for that. So feel free to stir up some questions while you're listening. We'll begin with the Louisiana poets. Up first is Benjamin Morris. He is the author of Coronary from Fitzgerald Letterpress, 2011. Hattiesburg, Mississippi, A History of the Hub City from Arcadia, The History Press in 2014. And Ecotone from Antenna and Press Street, 2017. His work appears in such places as the Oxford American, the Los Angeles Review of Books, Lit Hub, and the Southern Review. He has received fellowships from the Mississippi Arts Commission, Tulane University, and a studio in the woods. Recently, he won the 2021 Words and Music Writing Competition for Poetry, judged by Amy N. Formerly a resident of the United Kingdom, he now lives in New Orleans. Check his stuff out at BenjaminAllenMorris.com. Please welcome to the stage, Benjamin Morris.
How's that? Hear me in the back? Thank you, Sean. Thank you, guys, for coming out tonight, and thank you so much to our honored guests for traveling all this way to join us. It is such an honor to have you here, and we're really excited about everything that this week is going to bring in for Friday night in particular. So we're really thrilled. I'm going to read some very old work and some very new work, and we're going to get a little weird tonight, if that's okay. For reasons, as they say. The first poem, I've got 5 poems for you. The first 3 are sonnets from this first book that Sean mentioned, which came out in 2011. It's a book of sonnets, which I wrote very shortly after my father experienced a heart attack, completely out of nowhere, completely changed the story of our family, and the poems came very, very quickly. Almost one a day or several a day for a period of just a couple of weeks. And when the dust had settled from that particular experience, I was left with these things that I really didn't know what to do with, but they formed a kind of story. And the reason I think about this book more in recent years is because of everything that we experienced from 2020 forward, and the way in which sort of clinics and clinical spaces became part of our daily experience. Yeah, cool if you want to keep that going. That's great. Clinics kind of came back to the public consciousness in ways that we had not anticipated. And so this book, after almost 7 or 8 years away from it, it kind of came back to life for me. So. The book's called Coronary. It's all sonnets. I'm just going to read 3 of them this evening. So the first one is called Donor. The blood bank called today. I can't give blood or even plasma due to the shots I'm taking. Consider this. I'm O positive, the near universal donor, and I'm not able to give blood back to the man who gave me mine. Even though you taught me to lie on all the forms provided. No, ma'am, I've never left the county, much less the country. The cells speak nothing but the truth. I would donate my blood, my veins, or my heart, would any of it bring me back. But the cold facts stand between us. Deception is an art that finds its nemesis in science. Our blood still whispers even in its silence. I'm grateful to say that over the course of the story of this particular book and that particular moment in our family's life, it had a happy ending, but my father did get to come home from nearly a month in the intensive care unit. But something that I think any of us who've ever spent time in these spaces can readily attest to is the way in which you see inversions, you see idiosyncrasies, you see surrealisms, you experience them all as a family, things that you didn't expect, that those spaces have kind of a unique way of bringing out. And I wanted to read this one partly because we're in Louisiana, and what do Louisianans love but to eat? And as he was losing quite a lot of weight in that clinical environment, I couldn't help but think about the inversion of that scenario. So this is called Weight. Asleep for weeks and on your liquid food, the pounds have melted into your cotton sheets. Each day we see you, there's less of you to see. And until you wake up again and eat, we're worried you might up and disappear. The nurses assure us you're getting all you need, that no one has anything to fear, but as withered as you look and as small, we're not convinced. Dream now of a feast, of plates of shrimp and oysters and fresh caught fish, of your mother's seasoned greens and black-eyed peas, of meat whose flesh falls off like molten butter from the bone. Dream, Dad, and mean it. Increase. Increase. There are a number of instances. I don't even have to ask for a show of hands, I'm sure, as to who in here has sat up all night with someone that they loved in a hospital room, right? And there are a number of instances in which things began to happen that just would have happened elsewhere. And that formed quite a large part of the second half of this particular book. I want to just read one of them, partly because, perhaps there's something larger to be said about the relationship between poetry and prophecy here. I'm not entirely sure. But I do know that some of the things that I witnessed while he was in there hovered on the border between what was real and what was just beyond our perception. And he would say things that would have odd points of connection, which I could not see until many months later. He was speaking through a kind of veil that was present. It was a very unusual time for us. Of course, as soon as he got home, all that stopped. But while he was in there, he was very much in a liminal kind of space. So this poem is just trying to honor that. And it's called Vigil. Each hour, the nurse comes in and takes your numbers, blood and oxygen. Each hour, you pass. When awake, you like to score yourself on your performance. You joke that she should let you sign off on your name. But at night, the sleepless days begin to take their toll. Again, she comes. Again, you sink back down into your fitful dream, haunted by a phantom conversation. Lie back and rest, Dad, if you can. I'll keep this vigil by your side, holding on to these flickering words even when we're gone. First, you whisper this: the heart is a flaw. And then, everything I know is in the balls. So, that's coronary, or a small piece of it. I do have a few copies here if anybody is interested for the full story. I'm going to read just two more to get things going here this evening. I'm going to try something new too. I got this little cool booklight thing. I'm going to see if we can get it to work. And Henry, there's a chance I may have to get you to hold this while I'm trying to get this sucker involved. But oh, look at that. We've got some magic. Okay, cool. Excellent. At the last reading, it really is. Let there be light, and there was light. It was good. So at the last reading that we did today, which is Dylan's amazing book launch about a month or so ago, I was suffering quite badly because I could not see the words on the page. So I had to ask for a little bit of technological help and magic. This poem is also about light in a different capacity. Quick show of hands. Who was here for Hurricane Ida? Just who was, yeah, okay, we got it, yeah. So it was about 2.5 years ago, we had an incredibly strong storm, hurricane hit us, and it was one of the strongest we've had in a long time. Really, arguably the strongest since Hurricane Katrina. And it completely knocked power out, at least in New Orleans, for about 2 weeks, and we were all in different sort of straits of survival mode. I stayed to do relief work. I wrote the thing out, and of course lost power at the house. Had to medically evacuate my cat so that she would not overheat. She's fine, I'm glad to say, but very unusual time. It was while I was doing that work, relief and recovery work for those few weeks. This poem appeared. So this is just one little poem, which is also about light. It's called Returning the Lantern After Hurricane Ida. Faithful friend, companion, these last days, you gave us hope once the power had failed and the night took us in its waiting arms. Reading, eating, bathing in this sudden dark, your glow never wavered, only swung gently at our side as we carried you from room to room, as you carried us through the caverns of our homes. When the fury had passed, you helped us find one another. And the down street helped us find the scattered pieces of ourselves. So rest now, hanging on your nail by the door, the power restored, the last of the dusk, no longer the refuge where we huddled, wondering what the morning sky would reveal, holding such small and fragile starlight in our hands. Okay, so here's where we get weird, and this will be the last poem that I read. So I should say that this poem is going to be included. I'm very, very grateful to be able to say that about a year from now, I'll have a book come out with Bell Point Press. It's called The Singing River, and it'll be out in February of 2025. And within that collection are plenty of, nice poems about art and place and love and stuff, just kind of the usual thing that poets write about whenever they get busy. But then there's some other poems, and I've wanted to read one of these for a while, and I'm so grateful to everyone here for the opportunity to read something which is just a little different. So thank you, Sean, thank you, Henry, thank you to our guests, thank you to everybody for coming tonight. This is called Kartakaka Ethes, and all you need to know is that Kartakaka Ethes is a recognized psychiatric condition in which the condition is defined as the uncontrollable urge, the mania to see maps in every surface or texture that is visible. Okay, so anytime you look at anything, you see a map. That is Kartakaka Ethes. I think there's some guests coming in. Or we don't. Kartakaka Ethes. Start with the stars. Log 100 months of looking, and the heavens will crack into order. Crabs, bulls, ways home. Turn next to clouds, and with a shielded eye read the ice written in the sky. Lattice of daydream and ship hope, scumble and contour, distance visible, sought and drunk deep. see their contrails become entrails, the pattern on a rug, the cleft on a skull, the after-glisten of rain on a window, key to the fissures that glass conceals. To begin drawing, pick any 2 points and name the streets you see between them. And from all those that spiral outward, those that end and those that begin, only where they end, plot the crises of unbecoming. The signs that led you astray, followed you into an alley where someone marries vomit to a wall. Continue on, finding veins in streets and streets in leaves, the 1 in 2 and the 2 in the stars pockmarked through the night. Mark your legend with crosses and buttons, zippers, clasps, the need to loosen bodies carved out of each other. Limbs leading to extremity where dwells the darkness of the end of the map. Vessels falling off the page, dragons, chimeras, then the body regained. One sprawl askew, the other akimbo, each a map of the other, every curve and fold stained through with the ink that skin brings. Scrawl of nail on, edge of hip on, slur of flesh on, logic of bone. Dare yourself to stop. Sirens, a map to the crime. Steam, a map to the ground. Salt, a map to the sea. Smoke to fire. Shards to mirror. Shoppers to the store. What flees from us, a map to the self, to the center of the word. Karokaka, a vase in the end, a map to madness. The map to. The map past. The map sketched. The map lost. The map of. The map fixed. The map smudged, the map forgotten, the map from, the map faded, the map scattered, the map imagined, the map around, the map torn, the map erased, the map dreamed. And when the drawing is done, the brush rinsed, the palette scraped, here is what you will have made. A map to the face through the voice, a map to the tongue through the pulse, the nerve, the cortex, the seahorse, the day, the place, and the hour. You first made love under the stars, those same nightless and cloudless eyes, watching us eons ago. A flake of obsidian, scratched in the night, mapped to our Father, sculpting our past in a cave. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. All right. Louisiana poet number 2. By way of Montreal, Lisa Pasold. Her 2012 book, Annie Bride Horse, was nominated for Canada's Governor General's Award for Poetry. Her 5th book, The Riparian, is about a ghost, a river, and a dive bar. Her poetry has appeared in magazines such as Fence, Exile, and New American Writing. Lisa has taught creative writing at the American University in Paris and has led writing workshops across North America and France. She has worked as a journalist for diverse publications, including the Chicago Tribune and Billboard magazine. She is the host and co-writer of Discovery World's TV travel show, Paris Next Stop. You can find her stuff at lisapasold.com. Please welcome Lisa.
Thank you all. Thank you all for coming such a long way, and thank you all for being here. Ooh, and I got more light. That's exciting. Thank you. All right, so yes, thank you for talking about The Riparian. I'm actually going to read from a new work that I think I'm almost finished, that is about another Montrealer, Bienville. Bienville is the purported founder of New Orleans, and his name, Bienville, means good city. So the name of the manuscript, no surprise, is called The Good City. I'm writing an essay about the founder of New Orleans. No, that's not true. I am writing an essay about a Frenchman. No, he wasn't. That's not true either. I am writing an essay about a con man, always about the pretty patter, always with a scheme, jealous of his elder brother, charming and untrustworthy, and convinced he can pull off just one more big job. Yeah, that's closer. Essay, the slick gangster suit-wearing Quebecois grifter, hair greasy, eyes bright with ambition, mouth rich with lies. He can read, can pray, prefers neither. Prefers to talk rather than fight, to walk rather than run, to lie back staring up at the night sky, sometimes alone, sometimes not. Silence, the occasional gasp, but living is made with words, choosing the pretty words, choosing the desired language. When he takes off his clothes, he is covered in snake scales, tattooed with language. I am writing this essay, the scheme, the fast hands, the sharp eyes. Let me introduce you so you recognize his pretty patter, his scarred face, his tattoos when he sits beside you late at night at the bar and tries to sell you a piece of the Eiffel Tower. The thing is, there is this nightclub for sale. You might be interested. It's on St. Charles. Great location. Are you sure you're not interested? It's a deal. Un bayou débordé, overflowing. What do you mean? Borders, words flood away into this bog, this accumulation, leaves, algae, moss, decayed matter, tree, knees, this state of being bogged down, seeping, seeking, giving rise to evil smells and worse spirits, home to the bogeyman, low-lying, saturated, marécage, essentially malleable. Let me be portmanteaued all over this damn place and stripped down fur parts. I am not writing this essay about this Frenchman. Bienville, i.e. good city. I mean, really, who are we kidding? No one could make this shit up. Bienville, French-Canadian, born as such, self-identified, Canadien word, identity from the Iroquois Kanata, meaning an implication of settlement. Fleuve Saint-Laurent flows, Miss River snakes together, twining, slithering, leave mud marks, those great river throats across the continent. Serpent birth lines, Bienville is the opposite of settled. Memory sticks its pointy fingers into every socket. Quebecois grifter, short, not handsome, offspring of an indentured translator. An orphan interpreter, child mariner, 10th son, his eyes so bright, his mouth so rich with lies, self, sailor, survivor, interpreter, colonizer, government employee, unsettled retiree, walking beside the Seine, correcting the king's maps. Bienville lives to be 87 or maybe 88 because he lies about his own birthday. He lies about his own death. Who's gonna go back and correct him now? Everybody else is dead. Spit on the ground. Sweet tobacco on the wasp sting of history under my bare feet. Nothing to see here. All he left was some handwriting, hardly distinctive, very much of his era, his errors, the hard loop and cramp of, I had photographs on my phone, but it got stolen, so just take my word for this. There's nothing reliable left, some cities, letters, deeds, sculptures, misremembered. The text shivers and blinks back, morning peals from the river, text stammers in response, its subject, un relique de contact, not remotely the bones of a saint, not the hair of an idol, merely a bad man, framed in venerable gold for the vulnerable idea of importance, barely more durable than a fingerprint. barely more durable than a footprint stepping into a moccasin, this plain moccasin stepping across these pages. Remember, lick my finger, turn the page, connect the soul. That object of reverence should never be revered. Because flaws, because horror, because history unleashed. List those possibilities. Not as bad as, not as successful as, not as rich as, not as redeemable as, listening, conniving, overall only stretch soft grass bed comfort by inclination, rain ordinary facts, numbers, lines, squiggled, scribbled, scratched. History is a gap in the rain, that moment when stars and planets are visible to our naked eyes and then gone again. I don't know how a Montreal accent can be described, except I have it, it's polyglot. There's a loud sound that's never quite historically accurate. We don't know, we can assume there is screaming. Words are lost, not misplaced, not stomped down, not removed, not sent back, unpaid. None of this story fits into the box it's supposed to go into, and I can't make the right sounds even if I have the right accent. He syllables up against this mud, flatly impassable, slick-moving barrier as friends' warning wade into the sucking sounds whirlpool against feet, language, stumbling into the boat, over to the other side of the river. Welcome? No, but moving, yes. Sluicing, not clean, but at least you can pretend you're being reborn. I am ill-equipped to deal with this subject. I have an inability to tackle that statue. The subject's biography is proven by my lack of authenticity, my lack of correct white man's dick, my lack of correct Indian to this land. My heritage is not approved. It has no ties to this landscape under my feet. And I am standing beneath that ghost statue at the triangle of St. Peter and Decatur, and I am wrestling it in my mind into a blank space. Oh, was it André Breton or Louis Aragon once called the City of Lights Island Triangle the pussy of Paris? I am equipped with that, but even my kitten is multi-mutted. I am not born anywhere exactly. My blood is not a drop of Louisiana. Landscape, living wildness, wilderness, rejecting clanking formation, let those snakes talk on our skin. He isn't lying to anyone if he's just lying back silently, plus tard melting on opened lips, choosing to be the hard grit in the candy. Let it soften into a mouth, wipe his eyes with the back of his hand, get tar into his eyebrow, the hair doesn't grow back for 10 years. What does it matter on futile knees if he caresses the man's thighs as gently as he might lushly luxuriate calloused fingers into the pelt of furs stacked to send overseas the feel of that money, slightly greasy in his mouth after sucking? Not one pinprick, oh earth, blood, water, star, out to sea, tidal 7 fathoms, and over the stars, bloodless blush rushing out from where it never seeped, steeping sea, La Manche tide, Atlantic tide, Saint Laurent tide, Gulf tide, traveling out, blood swirling into clean turning, murky water red gush, clear, leaving, departing, deported out into each language graded with meaning against the next, trampling overland, upriver, sinking, sounding, effervescent, that combination of sails which could not fail to catch some breeze of fortune, visions bloodthirsty, pecuniary accounts ever increasing. What the hell, man? What the hell were you doing here? I am making a ghost dance, as if he were a sock puppet, to mouth any words I give him in any language. Right now he's speaking English, which was not one of his languages, not one of his chosen tongues. He can lie down with enough words to be understood rough-tongued. He lies and the English claims bends like swamp grass, dishonest as a bitten rope refuses to drown. He says, no. No matter how carefully I rearrange this history.
Thank you, Lisa. Next up, we have my poetry BFF, Henry Goldkamp. He is an experimental poet and interdisciplinary artist whose work blurs the boundaries between poetry, visual art, and community performance through public installations of intermedia, such as an olfactory poem, Read Through the Nose, Summertimer 2023, if you didn't experience that one, it was pretty amazing. Immersive Clown, utilizing audience participation, Balloon Animal in 2023, A Grove of Trees, in which thousands of poems were hung for passersby to pluck, and then mailed to strangers out of a phone book, The Poetry Project in 2014, and a citywide installation of 60-plus typewriters, resulting in the first ever book to be composed by a city, titled What the Hell is St. Louis Thinking? 2013. By creating such spaces of dialogue and interactive expression, he encourages participants to connect with each other in their shared environment. He lives in New Orleans, where he co-runs the Splice Poetry Series, acts as intermediate editor for the small press Tilted House. Tilt issue 4 just came out today, right?
Yeah, great.
Fantastic. It will blow your mind. It is absolutely wonderful. He also teaches at LSU. Art and Criticism appear in Indiana Review, Best New Poets 2021, Denver Quarterly, Works and Days, Accelerants, Gold, Tri-Quarterly, Tiger Quarterly, Bat City Review, winner of the 2022 Hybrid Prize, Afternoon Visitor, Diagram, and Annie among others. His public art projects have been covered by NPR's Morning Edition and Time, where he was recently an artist in residence at Mary Sky in Vermont. Please welcome to the stage, Henry Goldkamp.
Thanks everybody for coming up. I really appreciate it. And a really big thank you to Yes We Cannibal. Every time that I come through to an art show or a reading here, Matt and Liz have an incredible curation sensibility and do so much for Baton Rouge. And I'm always left on the drive home to New Orleans thinking about how to make it happen for myself and others. And so it's a really special place and it's special to read here.
Thank you so much.
I'm going to read 4 poems. Well, this is EMBRAS. Sing, right, exactly. Hello, clown. No, not a rancid zit. That's just your big red nose attached to your face. Not peppermint horse chiclets ripe for the chewing. Just your bright yellow smile. Sugar cube me up, moose. I want to get down tonight on the Hollywood page with you. I want to write your name in the star set in terrazzo and puked on by the useless. This is the amusement industry voucher system. Time to share a lie. The moose never asks for a poem it likely wanted to remain out it, standing in its field, feeling the wind in its ticks, the time on its back. But I was on a mission to cut through this poetry town short its circuit, and my odd-given pack saddle was burning a hole in my socket. You never thumped the stalls for an ass, bada bing, bada boom. Well, maybe a time in Atlantic City, but that was weeks ago. A classic case of communicating doors between 2 motel rooms. Go to bed, you'll never make it in this town. Chronic violence of sonic silence. Your face, your wallet is broken. Your grease paint is streaming service no one has time to watch. Oh look, it's morning. Cough, cough, cough. There must be some practical explanation for all this. If we're all standing for some kind of anthem, aren't we head over heels across the board? If I'm thinking correctly, isn't every move we make boneheaded? Sure the stats shine down certified pre-owned, but if you connect the God dots how you want, isn't that your name in the stars? I'd fail a piss test with flying colors. Sorry, this is already annoying. Most so into poetry right now. All in on this one, all in on one. I'm on one. On one. Let's fucking go, as everyone says. Baseball players, chatbots, comedians, spelling alike. Oh wait, they're all on 1% on their phones. I forgot about the cellular cobalt seep to the bone national, my bloodthirsty subscription to AT&T and HDNG. This is the bricolage of circus, and we're going in style, loogie by loogie, age by age, licked brick by licked brick. May all the world's lollipop sticks be adequate. Unanimously, begrudgingly, I stole all these words out the dictionary, thrown together with my own personal brand of doofus glue, huffing and puffing gusto. Make sweet lunch to me, pesto lipstick or rim the martini, shake me, bake me, raise me, I'm the mustache on your Aunt Cookie's lip, after instant coffee and a chain dangling ultralight, who still goes to Kinko's for all her printing needs. Copy on me harder, baby. So loose, so happy, the moose loose in the city of line, hop in the whip, hop in the WIP, my insurance is so progressive. Keys, stroke it, this little QWERTY pie, scoop my newish American interest by way of Blue York, New Orleans, New Jersey, go stupid Olympics, USA, your face on the cereal box. I've got O's and different venereal odes, collecting crushes like Beanie Babies, ripping their tags off, making them worthless, setting them free. Like the annual sale at Forever 21, I am empty and unattended. Go fetch me a monostick. Oh, sorry, I had God Bless America stuck in my head for 20 years. Do you know that one? Oldie but a baddie. Everyone glazing the LA Draft Dodgers. These colors don't run. This is a laundry detergent commercial. This is a lifestyle. Shred on me. I'm skipping on reality lately, changing lanes without using my use your Volta, asshole! Skipping meals, making gains, Peter Pan gagging on my maggot swagger. Conrad Cameron said it was nice seeing me walk on clouds. I don't know, hard to hear from way down here. Yeah, you right, Cirrus Energy, V Invincible tonight, smell the circus on my breath, VV Untouchable right now, VVV Valentino in the Bardo, how about it? I saw her velvet under the Bud Light, cold cut sandwich in my belly, veggie deli meat, the paradox of the future is cowed. One more, thanks. This is called One Hand on Your Hip. Braving the page, go bravo the phonographer, one hand on the holster, gently, ghastly, until you stop, bump the wall, a little bump in the night, and just hold it there, hovering, holding the line. Woof! How's that for stoic? How's that for beef stock, for rock, stone soup du jour? All cow herders get there eventually. Dumb as, after I shake everyone's hands at the reading, I like to stroke my mustache like a pet. A life of danger. Call it a man of the people. I want to gift you my hammer collection. I have a shoebox of them. They gleam brilliant and useful. Jesus Christ was a stonemason. They ain't got no wood out there. Jesus Christ, when I... Abrahamic policies line, Abrahvomit full of wisdom, lapidary of weight. I've been in the kitchen, whipping up dog biscuit stir-fry. With a slow, steady hand, as a beard grows softly, as the yacht rock rocks lightly. It's just, there's this pep in my step, there's this daisy in my rosé, there's this fly in my red wine I'm double fisting, and all the people are having a good time. Put your hands up. Against the wall, oil or water, I wonder. I'm barely touching you, barely. Octone, baby, get your ass down the aisle. Step on the gas. Readjust the limelight. Readjust the limelight. It's your hog and lonely show every waking night. The thing you devoid writing about. Your cuckoo, caw, top secret, slant, sad thing you bray to God at night about, or more likely brag to God incessantly, could disappear, abracadabra, Dante's invisible ink. No one will remember Inferno. No one will remember anything at all. Oops, it's my solar plexus popping, SPF 50 around the eyes and the ears, no matter what you heard about me. A woman last night, whose name was Valentine, no lie, asked, do you remember me? Do you know who I am? I said, sure, of course, definitely. We've met a few times at least. I was only being polite. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Henry. Next up, we have the poets from Korea. They came in Saturday, and boy, are their arms tired. It's a terrible joke for you. Jaeyoun is up first. She started her career in 2002 when she received the award for Best New Poet from the journal Literature and Society. She received a PhD in modern Korean literature from Korea University for her research in 1930s Korean poetry. She also was the recipient of the third Yeongnam Ilbo Kusang Literature Prize. She is the author of the poetry collections Radio Days from Moonji Press in 2006, Like All the Beaches of the World from Moonji in 2012, and Universal Hello from Moonji in 2019. She is also the author of the research books Adventures of Modern Poetry and Moving Chosun Language from Samyang Press in 2012, The Imagination of Literature and the Action of Poetry from Bagosa in 2022, Infinite Love of Paradox from Bagosa in 2022, and the collection of essays To the Darkened Lights by the Coming of Me from Moonji in 2023. English translations of her poems appear in Poems of Hwang, Jaeyoun, and Seo Dae-kyung, edited and introduced by Jake Levine from Vagabond Press in 2020. In addition, the poetry collection Radio Days was published in English, translated by Soo-yeon Bae from Black Ocean Press in 2023. After the pandemic, she began a series of poems that she has been publishing called Undead and the Origin of Species. Please welcome to the stage, Jaeyoun.
Hello. I'm very glad to read my poems in this fantastic place. And I'm gonna read 5 poems. And these 3 poems are about hybridity against colonization. So I think the New Orleans melting pot of culture is the best place for reading these 3 poems. Thank you for having us. 흰 페이지들.
White pages.
주어진 페이지들이 함부로 당도한 까마득한 발자국들로 뒤덮여 있을 때 흰 빛은 어떻게 되찾을까?
When footprints that arrived without permission from far away cover the given pages, how are the pages going to get their whites back?
발자국에서 자라나는 벽들의 높이와
The height of the bricks growing from footprints,
발자국에서 증폭하는 잎들의 묵음이
and the silence of mouths amplifying from footprints.
페이지의 두께를 더해가는 식민의 계절에도 자라나는 것들이 있다.
Even in the season of colonization that thickens the pages, things grow.
시간의 틈새에서 솟아난 균류처럼 우리는 무성하게 입을 벌리고 결국에는 밀림처럼
Like fungi that spores in the cracks of time when we open our mouths thickly, in the end, like a jungle,
빽빽하고 야만스러워지는 것.
we become dense and barbaric.
바람은 기원을 알 수 없는 곳에서 불어오고 페이지들이 끝을 모른 채 넘어간다.
Wind blows here from an unknown place and pages flip and flip and flip.
정박지도 도로도 없이 길을 잃다 만난 너와 나.
Without anchor or road, you and I met when we lost our way.
우리에게는 미개발의 빛들이 도착하고야 마는 것이다.
The undeveloped light finally reaches us.
추방된 자들,
The exiled.
여러 개로 갈라지는 혀를 가졌기에
Because we have a tongue that splits into multiples,
우리는 순종할 수 없습니다.
we can't obey.
당신들이 당신들을 남용하여
In this small world,
빛이 너무 많아졌습니다.
there became too much light
이 작은 세계에
because you abused yourselves.
파도가 데려온 산호의 끝처럼 무한하게 회귀하는 말의 갈퀴에 쓸려
I'm swept away by rakes of speech and return infinitely, like the ends of coral washed up by waves.
무지하고 아름다운 아이들이 사라졌어요.
Clueless and beautiful children vanished.
빛이 있으라 했어도 어둠이 더욱 필요한 몸뚱이들이 태어납니다.
Even if you say, let there be light, bodies that need more darkness are born.
번식하는 문맹의 시간 속
In the time of breeding illiteracy,
내 혀에서 솟아나는
in the prayers of the countless horns,
우수한 뿔들이 읊조리는 기도에는
spurting from my tongue,
신도, 나라도 없습니다.
there is no God or country.
후천적인 삶,
An acquired life.
다른 나라의 말들만이
The languages of other countries
우리에게는 필요합니다.
are all we need.
사랑은 사라지는 것.
Love is that which disappears.
너의 입술은 너의 국기.
Your lips are your flag.
흘러나오는 모든 것들을 주워 담아
All that which pours out and pulls,
네 몸을 새로운 피로 채우는 마술은
the magic that fills your body with new blood,
추방된 어린 아이의 손끝에서
rests at the tips of an exiled child.
끝나기 위해서만 목 갖춘 마디의 노래가 시작되지 않습니다.
No song begins with an anacrusis.
이민자의 외투를 빌려 입고
Just to end wearing the borrowed coat of an immigrant,
불완전한 목소리를 가다듬어
clearing an incomplete throat.
나 여기 있어.
Yes, yes, I am here.
계속해서
Torn up
찢어지는
continuously,
천조각의 실 한 오라기로
as one string from a scrap of cloth
바람에 섞여들어
is swept away into the wind,
있을 수 없는 일이 되어 가면서
into a thing that cannot be split
쓸 수 없는 문자로 쪼개지면서
apart into unwritable text.
Okay. These two poems about one person and two peoples. 한 사람.
A person.
나는 길게 누워있는 섬 위의 저녁 구름에 서린 분홍 같은 것이었다가 조금씩 시간이 흘러 이렇게 한 사람이 되었습니다.
After I used to be like that frosty pink on the night cloud hanging over that long, stretched out island, just as time passes slowly, I became a person.
가끔 화단 끝에 우두커니 깜빡 잠들었다 혼자 깨어나 어안이 벙벙해진 오후에 친구를 놀래키는 흐린 그림자 같은 것이었는데 지금은 한 사람이 되었습니다.
Sometimes, after momentarily dozing into sleep and waking up alone at the end of a flower bed, dazed, I was like the murky shadow of a friend that startles you awake in the afternoon. But now, I became a person.
부드러운 산호,
Soft coral,
코튼 캔디의 파랑,
the blue of cotton candy.
바다로 떨어지는 빗방울들,
In the ocean, raindrops are falling.
위로 떠오르는 밤의 달의 반쪽 얼굴,
From the half face of the night moon climbing above.
미래에서 자고 있는 내 아이의 꿈에 들려오는 자장가,
The lullaby I sing in the dream of my child who sleeps in the future.
들어본 적 없이 떠오르는 노래의 끊어진 마디들,
The final verse of a song no one has ever heard.
파도는 밀려왔다 밀려가는 동안 흰 모래와 석양과 별빛들을 얼마나 가져갔다 되돌려주러 오는지. 사라진 계절들이 겹쳐져 지구 밖의 하늘은 점점 더 검어집니다.
After the tide rolls in, while it rolls out again, The waves pull white sand, the setting sun, and starlight, returning them back to their place. Vanished seasons overlap, darkening the sky outside the earth.
그리고 나는 세상에 떠있는 나라들, 해변의 이름과 조각과 색깔을 엮어 만든 조개 껍데기 목걸이에 끊어진 줄을 잇고 있는 하나의 사람이 되었습니다.
I'm cutting the string of a seashell necklace that connects the colors, pieces, and names of all the beaches and all the countries floating on earth. I became a person.
This last piece is especially for you. Hello. 안녕 드라큘라.
Hello, Dracula.
당신이 나를 당신의 안으로 들여보내준다면 나는 아이의 얼굴이거나 노인의 얼굴로 영원히 당신의 곁에 남아 사랑을 다할 수 있다.
If you let me inside you, I will stay by your side forever. And with the face of a child or an old man, I will give you all of my love.
세계의 방들은 처음부터 끝까지 햇살로 가득하지만
From beginning to end, even though all the rooms of the world are filled with sunshine,
당신이 살아있는 사실, 그 아름다움을 아는 이는 나 하나뿐.
the fact that you're alive, how beautiful to know that I'm the only one who knows it.
당신은 당신의 소년을 버리지 않아도 좋고 나는 나의 소녀를 버리지 않아도 좋은 것이다.
It's okay if you don't abandon the boy in you, and it's okay if I don't desert the girl in me.
세계의 방들은 온통 열려있는 문들로 가득하지만
Even though all the rooms in the world are full of wide open doors,
당신이 고통스럽다는 사실, 그 아름다움을 아는 이는 나 하나뿐.
the fact you're in agony, how beautiful to know that I'm the only one who knows it.
당신이 나를 당신에게 허락해 준다면 나는 순백의 신부이거나 순결한 미치광이로
If you give me your permission to become a white bride or virgin lunatic,
당신이 당신임을 증명할 것이다.
I will be the evidence that you are you.
쏟아지는 어둠 속에서 우리는 우리의 아이가 아니라 우리 자신을 낳을 것이고 우리가 낳은 우리들은 정말로 살아갈 것이다.
In the gushing darkness, rather than birthing a baby, we will give birth to ourselves. The we that we will make will really live.
당신이 세상에서 처음 내는 목소리로 안녕 하고 말해준다면
But only if you say hey in a voice that's never been used in the world,
나의 귀가 이 세계의 빛나는 햇살 속에서 멀어버리지 않는다면
only if my ears don't go deaf in the sunlight that brightens this world.
Thank you, Sean, thank you very much.
Up next, we have Jake Levine. I'll tell you a little bit about him, other than him being my first poetry BFF. Jake Levine is an assistant professor of creative writing at Kim Young University. He has written and translated or co-translated over a dozen books, including Kim Yo-dum's Hysteria from Action Books in 2019, which was the first book to be awarded both the National Translation Award and the Lucian Strike Prize. He is a former Fulbright Fellow to Lithuania in 2010, a recipient of a Korean government scholarship. He has served as assistant editor at Acta Koreana and as a poetry editor at Sport Press, also as a managing editor and editor-in-chief at Sonora Review, and currently edits the award-winning contemporary Korean poetry series Moon Country at Black Ocean Press. He has also translated other cultural contents, such as Young Hyung Kyung's diaries and narration for the K-pop group ENHYPEN. His first full-length book of poetry, The Imagined Country, came out with Tolson Books in 2023. Please welcome Jake Levine.
having us here. We're all in like zombie jet lag mode still, 3 days. And this poem is for Sean, who has a bit of a potty mouth. It's called Shit Comments. I'm no longer embarrassed by the voice of my anus. The person shitting in the stall to the right explodes in rhythm with the staccato of my anus like a call and response made by grunts the dead make right before they die. Like the letter of an ex-lover folded into a paper boat and sailed across the sea, the person in that stall swings open the door and emerges as a ghost just returned from the world of the dead. Quick as that, he washes his hands and disappears from my life. Surprise, he survived. Am I like that ghost alone, wandering here and there in a form the living cannot see? Will I disappear in the green flame of my lover's burning ink? Wherever I go, my asshole follows me as a smelly whisper. Looking for the holes of lovers I've licked, I lurch into an irrevocable past. Like a soldier reaching over to scratch space emptied of his arm, my dickhead roams hotels looking for its foreskin. Through bathroom walls, the assholes of strangers vacate their bodies. Squeaking inside the body of someone else, a stranger's dickhead shrivels and hides in shame. In the morning, my dickhead yawns, turns the kettle on, and pees in the sink. Connected to each other. My lover's nipples are thread to my nipples with a metal cord tuned in the key of a primal scream. Forever linked to the common world of shit, like the saying, be at peace, stem first, dethorn the rose and poke it in the hole of the ass you love most. Waiting for the bathroom, I stare directly at your nipples as you leave the stall with a gaze that says, I hold you responsible for whatever happens next. And next thing you know, you have the nipples of the president. Like praying for retirement and waking up redundant, shit's the same. Like having 5 dreams in a row and dreaming the same goddamn dream, the man inside the bathroom stall on my left is probably dead. Or does he shit silently? The voice of my anus calls for his anus. I'm concerned. He's been in there a long time. Silent. History no longer exists. Like the sound of a microscopic tear, almost inaudible in the eye duct of an insect. I understand what sadness is for the first time. The digital shutter of a smartphone app. A man taking selfies in the public bathroom, like me during a colonoscopy, under anesthesia, like a whole life could elapse, not knowing who is watching, when they put the camera inside me, as I lay inside a dreamless sleep, breathing like a machine, not dark or cold. Time flinches like the noise of an insect's teardrop, echoing inside a limitless cavity, secure. My body scuds across the womb. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine. Kim Jong-un is he's the dictator of North Korea. Yeah, he's up there. When Kim Jong-un's father died, and Kim Jong-un rose to the position of supreme leader of North Korea and leader of the Workers' Party of Korea, Jake Levine got hired at Sejong University. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine are the same age. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine both gained weight. Kim Jong-un and Jake Levine both struggle to control their smoking habits. And yet, Jake Levine is not married to a famous North Korean singer, and Jake Levine has no nuclear warheads. Although Jake Levine and Kim Jong-un live on the same peninsula and watched Dennis Rodman play basketball as children, Jake Levine does not have a security detail, and Jake Levine rarely has people cry when he meets them. Jake Levine has had very cool haircuts, but he has never held hands with South Korean President Moon Jae-in. Jake Levine got a PhD and reads a lot of books. Each book he reads means he knows that the more he knows, the more he understands how little power he has. This is from my friend Hwang Yuwon, who's sitting over there. This is about a true story that happened some months ago. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here with two of my favorite poets from South Korea, who I also have the honor of translating. Hwang Yuwon's Metaphysics. Languages I don't know make symphonies of my ear without licking my mind, and Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. In order to be a poet, Rilke thought you had to be a hero or a lover or dead at 20, and Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi, and I paid the taxi driver 50,000 won because Hwang Yuwon puked in a taxi. Hwang Yuwon crosses a threshold of social acceptability. Hwang Yuwon is a little less Hwang Yuwon without his puke inside him, and the taxi is more Hwang Yuwon with Hwang Yuwon's puke inside it. Is the taxi driver that drives the taxi interested in the metaphysical transformation between Hwang Yuwon and his taxi? Is 50,000 won an adequate entrance fee for this deep and philosophical metabolic exchange? Like drugs, dancing, sex, or art, perhaps puking inside of a taxi is a spontaneous and deep form of surrender. Perhaps to illustrate to me possibilities beyond what I have experienced, because I have never puked in a taxi, Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. All of the taxis in the world that Hwang Yuwon hasn't puked in feel endlessly empty as Hwang Yuwon endlessly empties. When Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi, he is pouring out translation theory. Hwang Yuwon taps on the gates of infinity. Hwang Yuwon pukes in a taxi. I think I'll just end with that. We can just. That's good right there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jake Levine. You might be able to guess the next poet coming up here. Hwang Yuwon is a poet and translator. He's the author of 4 collections of poetry: White Deer Lake, Supernatural 3D Printing, You Should See Me in a Crown, and Everything in the World Maximized. He translates poetry and novels from English to Korean. Among them are The Lyrics, 1961 to 2012 by Bob Dylan, Moby Dick by some guy named Herman Melville, By the Sea by Abdul Razak Gurna, Grief is the Thing with Feathers by Max Porter, and you poets will know this one, Glass, Irony, and God by Anne Carson. Please welcome to the stage, Hwang Yuwon.
Hi everyone. Bring it now. Yeah, I'm that guy in his poem. And I think that was the something that I really wanna erase from my memory. But after he written that poem, I think that was the best puking in my lifetime. I'm not gonna, maybe I'm gonna do it again for him to write some masterpiece again. So yeah. Oh, anyway, it's very nice to be here. Meet you guys all. Yeah, and then I'm gonna read one poem about centipede, not about puking. Yeah.
The music was supposed to start after we started intro talking.
Yeah, so it's alright. Geneva, Mexico time.
Night of the Centipede, massive attack.
누구도 자네의 아름다움을 보지 못하는 아주 멍청한 밤일세.
Tonight, a very stupid night when nobody can see your beauty.
허물을 벗을 때마다 아주 길어지는 긴 지네들이 기어다니는 아주 검고 붉은 빛나는 키틴질의 밤이란 말일세.
A night of shining chitin, made by centipedes crawling here, there, very black, red, getting long and big, molting.
어디선가 자네 마누라가 허물을 벗고 있을 아주 은밀한 밤이라고 말하는 자네가 이해하는 데 도움이 된다.
Tonight, if we call it a night of extreme secrecy, a night where your wife is off somewhere shredding her skin, would it help you understand?
지인의 밤, 온마디가 하나의 앞절이 여러 편의 앞장이 이어진 교향곡이 방구석을 기어다니는 아주 웅장한 밤이라는 생각이 들지 않느냐 말했어요.
Night of the centipede. Each segment a musical passage, a night conducted in multiple movements from corner to corner, a symphony crawling around the room, an awesome night, right?
그 많은 다리가 고작 한 마리의 것이라니 그 많은 다리가 한꺼번에 움직일 때마다 와르르 연주되는 음악은 썩 훌륭하지 않은가 이 말이었습니다.
I mean all of those legs in just one animal. I mean the music of all of those legs moving at one time, isn't it fantastic?
상상할 수나 있겠나? 수백만 년 전 우리가 고작 네 발로 기어다녔을 뿐이던 시절 그때 어디 감히 음악 같은 게 있었겠나?
Can you imagine? Hundreds of millions of years ago in the age when we crawled on just 4 legs. Would music dare to exist in that time?
자네가 침대 위로 무지막지하게 내팽개쳐지기 시작할 때 누군가는 이미 먹히고 있고 누군가는 이미 먹고 있다는 걸 이미 자네도 알만한 나이가 되지 않았는가 이 말이었습니다.
What I'm saying is, when you get concussively flung atop the bed for the first time in your life, somebody is already being eaten, and someone is already eating. And what I'm saying is, aren't you old enough to know that by now?
누군가는 은밀히 어둠 속에서 하의를 벗고 있고 누군가는 더욱 은밀히 구석에서 입맛을 다시고 있다는 걸 지네나 자네나 둘 다 모른 척 잠들어봤자 우리는 다리가 아주 많이 달린 징그럽고 아름다운 꿈에 실린 채 또 온갖 곳들로 데려가지고 있겠지. 거기 터는 또 얼마나 많이 날겠나.
Somebody is secretly shedding their high heels in the dark. And somebody is even more secretly smacking their lips in the corner. And if you and the centipede pretend, if the centipede and you feign ignorance, the moment you try to sleep, we will get taken by the legs and loaded and galloped from place to place inside a beautiful and grotesque dream. Just think how many more hairs will grow there.
몇 시간을 걸어간 끝에 도달한 아주 높은 언덕 위에서 수백 미터나 되는 열차 소화불량이던 역의 플랫폼과 대합실 전부를 집어삼키고 하는 열차가 겨우 한 마리 다종류로 보인 적이 있다니 백항공원에서였지. 그러나 한 마리 지네가 낳는 새끼의 수는 또 얼마나 많은가 이 말일세. 거기 다리는 또 몇 개나 들려있겠나.
At the top of a very high hill that is reached only after several hours of climbing, a train stretched out several hundred meters, a train that completely gobbled the platform and waiting room of a station with bad indigestion, and I swear, that train looked like a single millipede. This occurred at the Deccan Plateau. What I mean is, all those babies, the babies coming into being from the one body of that centipede. What I mean is, just think of the legs, the number of legs on that thing.
지네이다. 생각만으로 혼미해지는 믿을 수 없이 빛나는 횡설수설의 밤일세.
Night of the centipede, just the thought alone, a dizzying, unbelievably light, emitting, blither-blather night.
나는 인류의 미래보단 지네에게 할당된 다리수를 믿겠네. 지네가 계속 태어나 열차보다 오래 살아남을 거라는 쪽에 내 두 다리를 걸겠네요. 갓 태어난 지네는 또 얼마나 아름답겠나.
More than into the future of humanity do I place my faith in the distribution, the multiplication of centipede legs. And I'll bet my 2 legs that centipedes will continue to be born and survive longer than trains. I mean, what is more beautiful than the newborn centipede?
여보게, 지네가 기어다닐 땐 문틈으로 바람 부는 소리가 난다. 문도 안 열어놨는데 문은 이미 벌써 언제나 열려있고 지네가 늘어날수록 바람은 더 크고 아름다워져 문을 미친 듯이 열어제끼고 박살날 만큼 세게 닫아버리겠지. 세상 모든 지네들의 다리를 헤아리다 바람 속에서 잠들어버리고만 싶은가.
I mean, look here. When a centipede crawls around, the sound of wind blows through a crack in the door. And even though the door hasn't been opened, the door is always already and forever open. And as the centipede elongates, the wind will become so big and beautiful that it will yank open the door like a crazy mother. And also like a crazy mother, it will slam the door so unmotherly it could break, yes. Tonight is the kind of night where all I want to do is go to sleep in the wind while counting the legs of all the centipedes in the world.
갑자기 모든 게 너무 동시다발적으로 일어나고 있네. 자네는 이걸 고작 유사생물학적 키네틱 아트 정도로 생각하고 있나? 쉽고 간단하고 은혜라도 하는 거죠. 그러니 자네도 한번 지네를 타고 인간이 한 번도 기어들어가 보지 못한 곡선 속으로 기어들어가 지네처럼 둥글게 몸을 말고 빛나게 어떻겠나?
Suddenly, everything is happening at a once that is all too much. Do you still think this is just an imitation of a biological kinetic art? Easy and simple, just like riding a swing. How about you also take a leap and ride the centipede? Crawl into a curve no human has ever crawled into before. And like the centipede, roundly ball up your body, curve up, shine.
지네는 술이 떡이 돼 바닥을 기어다니는 여대생으로 생각할 수도 있고 술이 깨고 나면 기립할 수도 있을 것이네. 물론 지금의 자네나 나 같은 모습으로. 그리고 사랑하는 이들을 힘껏 껴안아줄 테지.
A centipede can disguise itself as a college girl and crawl around the floor like it is totally wasted. And even after sobering up, it can walk around just like how you or I now walk. And afterwards, it can grab and hold tight to those that it loves.
사랑하면 두 팔로만 하나도 좋은데 몇십 개의 팔에 안기는 기분은 또 어떻겠나?
If it's this nice getting hugged by the two arms of someone you love, imagine the feeling of hugging dozens of arms.
테이블 위에는 자신을 통째로 토하며 죽어가는 지네가 담긴 하나의 술병이 놓여있고
On top of the table, there's a liquor bottle with a centipede inside. It vomits its entire self and dies, and
쓰러진 술병에서 흘러나온 술은 테이블 위로 활짝 펼쳐지다 모서리에 일러 줄줄 혹은 뚝뚝 떨어지는 거겠지. 또 다른 지평으로 부드러운 평면으로 오늘 밤 네가 갖고 놀던 장난감이 너를 갖고 놀고 있었다는 걸 발견하게 될 때까지 나는 모든 다리들이 연결된 모든 몸뚱아리들을 밤새 지 맘대로 끌고 다니는 것을 허용하노라.
alcohol from knocked over bottles blooms across the top of the table, and coming to a corner, the alcohol drips down in a drippity drip or a ploppity plop onto another horizon, a soft flat surface tonight, till you discover how the toys you thought you played with actually played with you. If it takes until morning, many mornings, I will permit all these legs to drag around their attached bodies any damn way they want.
지네의 밤, 빛나는 피핀질의 밤이고 최상급이 모든 나머지를 무력화시켜버립니다.
Night of the centipede, night of shining chitin, and night of the superlative incapacitation of everything that is not superlative.
저기 길고 놀라운 웃음소리가 깨르르르 기어가고만 있네.
A night along and surprisingly chuckly tee-hee crawling over there.
지네 한 마리가 한 번에 들 수 있는 악기 수는 또 얼마나 많겠나.
Just think, how many instruments can a centipede hold at once?
지네 한 마리가 한 번에 들 수 있는 모든 기타와 보컬들과 드럼들과 베이스들이 내장한 5억 마디가 저려오는 경련과 발작들이 구불구불 기어다니는 바다도 분명 간지러울 거야. 그럴 땐 바닥에 들어누워 하하하 히히히히 드르륵 하루 종일 열렸다 닫혔다도 해보고 웃음으로 지 얼굴 뒤흔들다 얼굴이 와장창 무너져 내려보는 것도 나쁘진 않겠지.
One centipede holding up a guitar, vocals, drums, bass, all at once, embedded in a single measure, numbing into the convulsing, seizuring, windy of the crawling of the floor that must be tickly, and then it won't be so bad. So bad to get on the floor and ha 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 ha, hee hee hee, and open and shut and shake your face all day with laughter till the faces crash and collapse and
나쁜 건 없지. 그딴 건 이미 무수한 다리들을 빌려 이 땅에서 서서히 증발하고 있을 거야.
is it that bad? Nothing's really that bad. It's always been like that, borrowing the uncountable legs, and even now things are slowly evaporating from this land.
털이 너무 많이 난 횡설수설 광란의 물세.
Gibberish with too much hair growing on it. Rock and roll rampage.
Another round of applause.
5 or 10 minutes for a Q&A. Do y'all have any questions for these beautiful poets? Anybody stir up a question or just enthralled the entire time?
I got one.
What you got, Ben?
I got one for Jaeyoun. I couldn't tell, but I think it was in the third poem that you read. The first few lines were really interesting. It said something to the effect of, all we need are the languages of other people or other countries. And I was curious, as you're writing, in differences between, say, Korean and English, how is irony structured, right, in the Korean language, such that we might hear that and we might have 2 lines about that particular phrase?
irony.
영어와 한국어 차이.
여기서 표현하고 싶었던 거는
What she wanted to express was
우리가 받아들인 것들이
the things that live in the ocean.
아주 후천적이라는 것을 얘기하고 싶었어요.
Are like acquired things that we acquired from the ocean.
네, 제 시를 다른 언어로 번역할 때
When her poetry gets translated into other languages,
저는 우리한테 섞여 들어온 혼종성을 느낄 수 있어서 좋습니다.
there are things that are acquired, and the things that are she thinks it's good that other meanings or other things are acquired.
번역은 쉽지 않지만 그래도 저는 번역할 때 이런 의미들이 번역이 가능하다고 생각해요.
Even though translation is a hard job, she thinks that it's possible that poetry can also be translated.
그래서 저는 여러분도 제가 여기 갖고 싶었던 느낌을 느낄 수 있을 거라고 생각합니다.
So she thinks that the things that she included in her poem are things that you can also feel in her work.
Thank you.
Thank you. That microphone might have gone out there. Other questions? Oh, there it is. That one works. Any other questions? Yes, what you got back there?
I've never, tonight is my first experience of any Korean poetry. And I was trying to just listen to the sounds. And I was wondering, I felt like I heard rhythm, and I was wondering if that's intentional. And I felt like I heard echoes of sounds, not necessarily rhyme, but like vowel sounds that that work together. And I was wondering if I'm hearing correctly.
Jake, you want to take this one or you want?
Korean poetry.
The vowel sound?
Yeah. Like not, I mean, they didn't seem to rhyme or were
Oh,
they?
yeah.
But
We don't, in Korean it's very difficult to make rhymes,
Uh-huh.
not like in English. Although we do rhymes, letters do rhyme. But, it's not like in English, it's hard to explain, but it's the problem of language. We don't really rhyme.
But are you working with sounds in each phrase, like to echo?
Yeah, we're so, Jake, can you help me?
I mean, it sounds beautiful.
I mean, I think if you like Jaeyoun and Yuwon's poems, Yuwon's poems are really different styles of poetry, very different, but they both have like their own kind of ambiance and feeling and rhythm. And Yuwon's poems are like really kinetic and really fast, and he also incorporates like a lot of repetition of not only individual words but like sound play. sound play and also punning is like a big part of his poems, which is really hard to carry over into English. But I think that represents itself in the original language a lot better in Korean than it does in English. And I think sonically also Korean is maybe a little bit more, there's a little bit more built-in repetition because of the grammar structure. Because of the grammar structure, the endings of almost all the lines, they kind of rhyme with each other just because of the way that grammar works naturally in Korean.
Thank you.
Was that?
We got time for one more question out there. There's some beers in the ice chest back there. Thank you for coming. My ice chest, not your ice chest, Eric. That's a good one.
I was going to ask a question.
What question do you have, please?
I guess was in thinking of punning, and that punning is a big part of your work. Like Marshall McLuhan considers it the lowest form of wit in English for the reason that it's looking two ways at once, in the sense that it has multiple meanings, when the phonetic alphabet is designed to be read in a linear fashion. I was wondering, what is the sort of value system around puns in Korean, and is it different because of the way in which one would read Korean on the page is different and perhaps not as linear as the phonetic alphabet?
I think that maybe McLuhan is thinking about that in terms of English. I mean, I think in Korean, Korean is a much more pun-rich language. So like tons of words have already built into it, lots of puns. Like even the word for eyes is Yoon. Yoon also means snow. Like unless you indicate in the poem, a lot of words also like are based on Chinese. So like there's original Korean words, but there's also Chinese words. And so like a lot of the times the way that you would indicate what you wanted to intend, you would have to include the Chinese with it. So a lot of poets will include like the Chinese next to the word. And so like because it's a pun-rich language, there's a lot more playfulness built into it. And I also think that Korean is a lot more flexible in terms of its grammar structure and the way that people use language, but in particular poets use language in a way that's unique to them. So like Yuwon, not in that poem, but in a different poem, has like a pun where it's a praying mantis, but the praying mantis also is like a shaman, and he makes this weird poem where the praying mantis also becomes like the shaman in the poem, and it's like it's impossible to bring that over into our language, but I've never seen that pun before. So like a lot of like poetic exploration is to push the language to the limit. So like I would say that like poets create their own vocabulary within their own poems, and a lot of that is creating new puns, because it's such a pun-rich language.
Thank you.
Great questions. If you'd like to catch them again, the New Orleans Poetry Fest Roadshow will be in Thibodaux tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon at 1 p.m. at Nicholls State. And then we'll be in Metairie at East Bank Regional Library at 7 p.m. Wednesday night. Their big performance will be Friday night at Cafe Istanbul, the New Orleans Healing Center. It starts at 6:30 p.m. with a panel on Korean poetry translation, where they will be there, all three of them, Soo-yeon Bae, Jaeyoun, other translators will be there, and Jack Stuckey, the publisher at Black Ocean, will be there to discuss Korean poetry and their new poetry series. Please also come to the New Orleans Poetry Fest Saturday and Sunday. We have 39 poetry readings with 195 poets. We have 20 round tables from poets and poetics all around the world. We have 11 free workshops. There's also a kick-ass main event Saturday night at Cafe Istanbul with Latasha and Nevada Diggs, Carolina Abid, and the Cornelius 80 Trio, a little jazz band with some poetry mixed in. It's going to be a banger week of poetry. Please come out if you can. Take a road trip to New Orleans. Get yourself a designated driver. You're going to need one. Thank you all so much for coming tonight. Have a good evening.